Hey, it's Devin Burke, the founder of Sleep Science Academy, and your coaching guide to a peaceful night's rest. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the 3 reasons you can't fall asleep and what to do. So, first and foremost, I want to talk about what's called hyperarousal. So, hyperarousal is something that happens from really just living in today's society. Most of us, most of the time, are a little bit hyper aroused, meaning that our nervous system is a little bit revved up. And this could be because we are drinking too much coffee, we're under stress from work or from home life, or there's too much stimulation in our environment. Essentially, what this means is our body is releasing more than it needs to adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. And it's more sympathetic dominated. So most of us living in the 21st century, we have a high level of stress. You know, the world we live in with what's going on in politics and what's going on in our communities, and it's just a more stressful environment. This period of time, there hasn't been as different types of stress, but there's an elevated sense of stress beyond just our own individual stress day in and day out. There's this another layer. So most people aren't aware that their nervous systems are what I call revved. And what happens is this becomes a pattern where the body gets revved, and then we do things like use, caffeine, which revs it up even more, or alcohol, which sort of can rev it up more or bring it down, and then we need to bring it back up with a stimulant. But our bodies are in this sort of hyper aroused state, which doesn't allow the body to do what it knows how to do, which is sleep. So essentially, at night, maybe you feel relaxed, but your mind's racing, or you wake up in the middle of the night and you're not able to fall back asleep. Usually this is a conditioned hyperarousal pattern that needs to be addressed. And sometimes it's really subtle. Like, you might not feel that you're hyper aroused, you might not feel like you're stressed, but if we went to a lab and we really looked at your heart rate variability, which is measurement of stress, we looked at your cortisol levels or hormones levels, you might be surprised to see that actually, yes, your body is under some type of stress. And a stressed body doesn't want to rest. And this is biological. This is a survival mechanism. This is what has kept us alive on the planet for as long as we've been here, is that we are constantly scanning our environments for what's not working. We're problem solvers. And in that sort of state, that mental state, the body gets revved. So that's the first challenge to overcome. The second challenge is something that we call circadian disruption. And this can happen when we are not getting enough sunlight. This can happen when we are disconnected from nature. Maybe you live in a city, you're indoors most of the time, you don't get enough sun on your skin, you don't get your feet on the ground. It's essentially, this can happen for a number of reasons. It can happen traveling across several different time zones. It can happen from not really being on a consistent sleep schedule. So if your sleep schedule is all over the place, this can throw off your circadian clock. There's a lot of things that can throw this circadian clock off. And essentially what this clock is it's your body's way of keeping timing with release of certain hormones like melatonin, which is a sleep hormone, with cortisol, which is actually highest in the morning when we wake up. And if our circadian clock is disrupted, then our signaling for sleep can also be disrupted. So this is the second thing that we got to overcome. And then the last thing is really, really simple. When you have chronic insomnia, trying to figure out how to sleep naturally by yourself is really difficult. Reading books and online articles, watching videos like this one, and attempting to put together an action plan with what to do and not do to finally get some rest can feel overwhelming, confusing, and lonely. The truth is, knowing what to do is only half the solution. You need to know why and to take consistent action on a system that actually addresses the root cause of why you're not sleeping. And that's why I created Sleep Science Academy, which is helping hundreds of people restore their natural ability to sleep. In the program, I teach our clients to naturally fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up refreshed without the need for medication or temporary Band-Aid approaches. The program is a combination of video training modules, office hours to get your questions answered, live group coaching sessions with yours truly, and even one-on-one coaching support. not to mention a community of hundreds of others working towards eliminating insomnia with our step-by-step science-backed approach. Now, if you want to try to continue to figure it out on your own, then keep watching these videos. They will definitely help. But if you're someone who knows the value of sleep, needs a proven action plan, accountability, and support, and would like to join a community of people just like you who are committed to solving their chronic insomnia, then go to my calendar and set up a time to speak to one of my sleep support specialists to see if our approach is right for you. And if we discover it's not, we'll point you in the right direction. Otherwise, we would love to support and welcome you into our Sleep Science Academy community. Now, back to the video. And again, most people sometimes overlook this. Sometimes they obsess over it, and this can be the very thing that gets in the way. But it's really our sleep hygiene. So it's poor sleep hygiene. So it's doing things, in other words, doing things that get in the way from sleep happening. And this could look like eating too late at night. This could look like doing things in bed, like watching TV or working. This could look like not having a clean break from your day and your night. This could look like a lot of things, drinking too much caffeine or using alcohol or consuming too much electronics or being in, hyper-stimulated environments late at night. All of these things contribute to a form of stress, which then keeps the body in that hyperarousal loop, which then leads to the circadian disruption. So all of these things are interconnected, and we need to really address all of them if we want to restore our natural ability to sleep. And so I call the process of restoring natural sleep dynamic sleep recalibrating. And essentially what this means is it's increasing and supporting your sleep drive, which then realigns your circadian clock through decreasing day and night arousal patterns. So if you're having sleep issues, it's so important to understand that it's not just a bedtime issue, it's actually a 24-hour issue. So if you're looking at sleep issues like they're just a bedtime issue, then unfortunately you're probably going to continue to struggle. You need to look at your entire day, your entire life. Everything you do impacts your sleep, and your sleep impacts everything you do. So how do we increase and support our natural sleep drive? Well, there's a couple things. And so let's get into what these things actually are. And so I want to show you this quick diagram here. Let me pull it up and make it a little bit bigger. So essentially our bodies, it's a balance between creating homeostatic sleep drive. So you can think of this as your body's hunger for sleep, and decreasing arousal. So if we're increasing sleep drive and we're decreasing arousal, we're creating the greatest opportunity for sleep to happen. And so let's talk about the things that kill sleep drive. So there's a couple of them. The first one is naps. And why this kills sleep drive is actually it reduces adenosine, which is the neurochemical that creates sleep pressure. Another thing that really disrupts is a sleep drive killer is going to bed too early. So this is a really common mistake. A lot of people say, well, you know what? I'm going to go to bed early because I'm not getting enough sleep. And then you're in bed tossing and turning, and that kills sleep drive. Spending too much time in bed. Actually, if you're having sleep issues, you want to spend less time in bed and trying to make up for bad sleep. And, at Sleep Science Academy, we like to call them off nights. We don't like to label it good and bad. But if you can't really make up for sleep. So trying to do that by sleeping in is actually pushing you further away from increasing that hunger from sleep. Being inactive and sedentary, so not moving your body enough during the day. And then, as I mentioned, caffeine. 1 cup of coffee in the morning is not going to be terrible, but the more caffeine you drink, the later in the day, caffeine blocks this adenosine receptor site. And adenosine is the neurochemical that builds up that creates sleepiness. So these are the things that kill sleep drive. And we really want to be mindful of, all of these things, because again, we want to increase that sleep drive while we decrease the hyperarousal. So let's talk about the different types of hyperarousal. So the first type I want to talk about is something called conditioned hyperarousal. And this is what happens if we're repeatedly being awake and then we're frustrated and anxious in bed. And so essentially you can think of this as you're teaching your mind and body that bed and your bedroom equals frustration and not sleep. And then the more this sort of pattern gets developed and solidified, the more it becomes your experience. So we want to start to become aware of what we're doing in bed that is adding to the frustration and the anxiety. And oftentimes it's how we're thinking about sleep. It's what we're doing and not doing in bed, which we'll get to. So that's the first type of arousal. The second type is circadian arousal. So this again can be the dysregulated circadian clock. This is not getting enough sunlight, eating not getting outdoors enough, not getting it really not allowing your body to get into its natural state. So doing things that get in the way of your body's natural state, which could be, again, maybe watching television too late into the night, too much blue light at different times. And then there's all the other things that add to arousal, like excitement and stress. And again, we really want to decrease arousal while we increase sleep drive. And then what that does is it helps balance our mind and body to then create the opportunity for sleep to happen. So it's so important to understand that we cannot force sleep. Trying to force and control sleep, it doesn't work. Sleep is something that happens. And if you find yourself in this pattern of trying to force or control sleep, then it's going to be harder for your body to actually sleep. So what we're talking about here, all of these strategies, it's really not about attempting to control your sleep. It's about understanding the underlying psychological and physiological patterns that keep the body from doing what it knows how to do, which is sleep. So if this made sense to you, and hopefully I was clear on this video, but if this made sense to you, and you're someone who's really struggling with your sleep right now, and you're committed to solving your insomnia, then I want you to go to our website and sleepscienceacademy.com, or you can click the link below and schedule a complimentary consultation to allow us to see if our unique approach using dynamic sleep recalibrating, increasing your sleep drive while decreasing arousal using tools, techniques, technology, and support can help you finally solve this. So you can click the link below, schedule a free consultation. We'll see if we can help you. If not, we'll definitely point you in the right direction. But if we can help you, then we'd love to welcome you into the Sleep Science Academy community. Okay, I will see you in the next video.